Let's talk migrants now. Channel migrants, extraordinary numbers. Well over the 1,000 we were talking about in just one day last week. On a Friday show, we were saying it could be around 1,000. It ended up being far more than that. 1,185 crossing in small boats and dinghies across the channel last week. Expected many more this week with mild weather. And front page of the Mail on Sunday yesterday saying the outgoing head of the UK Border Force has triggered a political row when he described bloody borders, and I won't say one of the other naughty words he says, as just a pain in the I think given you might be kids listening, I'll leave it at that. But his name was Paul Lincoln, and he was the outgoing Director General of the Border Force. And this perhaps explains why border control isn't quite what many of us might expect it to be. Alp Mehmet is chairman of Migration Watch and joined us now. Good morning to you, Alp.
Morning, ma'am.
If the person in charge thinks that all this bother over trying to control our borders is just a pain in the, should we go with backside? I think that's probably a safer bit of language to use. That kind of tells you why perhaps our borders are so porous, doesn't it?
I don't think it does, actually.
Oh, really? Interesting.
No, I don't. And I don't know the man. He's been around a while. He hasn't been overly impressive whenever I've seen him in public, but I very much doubt that he was for open borders. I think taking things out of context is probably as much to do with the way this has come over. I'm also a little bit suspicious the way it's found its way into the headlines, where it comes from. And of course, it is convenient to be able to say, look what poor old Pretty is up against, when these people are actually working against her. So yeah. I would put a huge pinch of salt over it, personally.
That's very interesting to hear. And this is the thing, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, she was in the papers yesterday and again today, talking about tackling the migrant issue. According to many of the polls, this is a very big issue for an awful lot of people. It's a big part of Brexit, wasn't it? That this ability to control our own borders, that we decide who comes to this country. And last week we spoke to Bella Sankey, who's a leading lawyer in this field, who said actually there aren't any more people coming to the UK, they don't think, than would normally come. They're just coming in a very visible way on these boats. A lot of the other routes have been shut down. Now, as I said to her at the time, you think that that's very reassuring. I find that terrifying, that this number of people could be routinely travelling to the country as illegal migrants. But Priti Patel is expected to have a meeting with her French counterpart, the French Interior Minister, Gérald Darmanin, to try and find a shared solution to the crisis. And is basically expected to say, look, you need to basically intercept every migrant boat, not just a fraction of them. But realistically, we can't do this without France getting involved. And France, basically, they're threatening to cut off electricity, for goodness sake, to the Channel Islands. This is not a nation state that's going to be willing to help us, is it?
Yeah, I think that both of our government and the French government are equally culpable, as I've said before. Clearly, if we're going to solve this, the French and the EU, frankly, have got to be on board as well. If they claim that they want this to end, then for goodness sake, either they've got to stop those who are coming across the channel from setting off, or accept them once we intercept them. Yeah. And that, at the moment, doesn't seem very likely. I think that the government, frankly, is to blame largely because they haven't done enough about sending people back, about reducing the pull factor, which is huge.
Once you get here, you're going to stay here, basically.
All you say is asylum, please, and that's it. You lose control at that stage. At the moment, the government is like Humpty Dumpty sitting on a big red wall, frankly, and with immigration being as big an issue in the red wall as it is, I think they're beginning to topple over, and this could well be what topples them over completely.
Indeed. Alp Mehmet, chairman of Migration Watch.